Hello, everyone. It is Hermes, aka Michaela, just popping in to give you a quick apology that this episode wasn't out last week. Liv and I greatly underestimated how much work it would be to do this while we were doing our tours out here in Greece. But here it is now. We're so excited for you to hear the part two of our episode with Christie Vogler and Anastasia Pantazopoulou. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Prophecies, and oh yeah, Orpheus is there too. A KAOS Takeover with Christie Vogler and Anastasia Pantazopoulou, Part 2.
Hello, listeners. This is Let's Talk About Myths, Baby. And I'm your host, Christie Vogler. That's right. Once again, I am taking over for Liv to talking about the amazing show KAOS, and helping me out because, again, I get lost sometimes, is the wonderful Michaela. So, Michaela, can you say hi to everyone, please?
Hello.
So yes, we have Michaela here today, and just to remind everyone of like why I'm taking over, I am the person who loves to do reception of pop media, and KAOS is probably my number one favorite show in existence right now for so many reasons. And Michaela and I had a long conversation about the gods, and we're trying to convince Liv, like, Liv, you need to see this show, like, come on. And we're convincing everyone else. And we decided today we need further reinforcements. So today we are joined by Anastasia Pantazopoulou, who is a classical philologist and an interdisciplinary researcher who is currently a visiting assistant professor of classics at Carleton College. So, Anastasia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. And thank you both for having me. I'm really excited. KAOS is like a personal favorite as well, so I'm more than happy to talk about it.
And the reason we tapped Anastasia is I actually had a chance to listen to you give an amazing paper on this topic at Caeneus back in March now, so it's been a little bit. And I was so excited to get to talk to you about it. Like I said, we've already covered the gods, which was fun, but like there's so much to unpack with the mortal characters and three characters in particular that I know we're going to dig into. But yeah, Anastasia, can you also just tell us a little bit more about like what work you do generally besides just talking about KAOS?
Oh, sure. I'm happy to. So generally, my research projects and my research like centers around classical Athenian drama and classical reception. I also work on different digital humanities projects that are informed and inform my classical research in different ways. And I focus a lot on the socio-political concept of the other in the ancient and the modern world. And especially I look at like identity performance, otherness, and inclusivity in 5th century BC Athens and contemporary North America and the Western world more broadly. So working on KAOS is also part of this like broader interest of mine.
Yeah, it feels like such a good fit in so many ways. Oh, so Anastasia, Michaela and I already got to talk about, how we came to the show and everything. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about like your experience watching it the first time, and why do you think more people should be watching this show?
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's a great question. So, at first, like there was a lot of like ads and like stuff popping up on my feeds, like on social media and stuff, and like I have like Netflix, and like it would be like being advertised all the time, and I was like, it looks great. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
cast, like just like even not knowing like what to
Yeah.
expect, like you look at the cast, like, oh, this needs like this looks really good. And I
Mhm.
mean, it was really good. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't disappoint like at all. On the other hand, I think, and I mean, I've rewatched like parts of it
Mhm.
for a time, like working on the canvas paper, now working on an article on it. And every time, like, I find like something new. There's something more. One thing like I really appreciated like the first time watching it is how layered it is. So
Mhm.
they really, the way they have reworked the myths to make them even more like accessible. Because like in
Mhm.
my head, at least, like the goal of this myths were like all about like what this world is, like the humans, right?
Mhm.
And how our world works. And then they pretty much took that like really this like core quality of the myths and translated it into a modern version of them, like make them even more accessible for modern audiences. So
Mhm.
that was part of the magic, I think. And I
Yeah.
was sad that people did not appreciate that, and we don't get to have
I
Really?
like a second season at least, because it also leaves us on this cliffhanger. Like I'm like,
Huge
Wayne,
cliffhanger.
come on, we need to see more.
I
You have
and
like,
I don't know anyone who's actually watched this
Yeah.
being disappointed in it in
Yeah.
any
I
regard.
know,
Like,
Yeah.
I've not been
I
like someone's
know,
like, it was mid for me or something. Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, if you watched it, you loved it,
Yeah.
especially if you have a background in
And
classics and
truly, like the last episode, just the way they set things up for a
I
second season was so beautifully done. Like
I know.
I can't get that imagery of hair out of my head, you know, like darling,
yep.
like make a bed for me, I'm coming. And then just her walking down the street by all her tacitus around her. I was like I had to rewind and watch that scene so many
Yeah,
times because I was just like,
Hmm.
wow,
It's like you want to make music
beautiful.
videos to that scene, like with some
Yes.
really good.
Yeah, like
like
she felt herself in that moment. She was like, yeah, yeah, this
yeah,
is
these
it.
very like queen bee vibes all over,
Hmm.
like
Totally.
with her bees and everything, and the tacitus all red, like all sorry, dressed in like yellow and stuff. Like you have it there, and I mean, whom
Yeah.
did she call? And then at the
Yeah.
end, you also have Dionysus like holding like the little
Holding
ball.
the
And I know you talked
meander.
about the gods, but Dionysus, like I love
Oh,
Amazing.
him.
we always have room to talk
It's
about
oh
Dionysus.
my
So
god, in
well
the
done.
show, like
Yeah.
so well done as like a character, but
Mhm.
also like um Dionysus, like in the ancient world, is also like the symbol between like the like bridging, like it's like he's a
Yep.
bridge between the divine and the human and everything,
Mhm.
and it was so like nicely
So
done in
beautifully
the
done.
show. Yeah.
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 So stunning. Oh,
And I imagine because we'll have to talk about Orpheus a little bit, so Dionysus will definitely come
he'll
back into
pop up.
play in today's conversation.
Okay,
Like
okay.
it can't be
Can't help it.
helped. It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, I gotta listen to your wonderful
Hmm.
paper on
Me
this
too.
topic. Can you give our readers kind of like a a summary of what that was, and that will be a great lead into our three main protagonists that share this
Hmm.
prophecy with
Yeah,
Zeus.
sure. I'll be happy to. So, for that paper, like one of the things I said before, like really drew me in the show was how this like ancient myths were like reworked in modern context. So my focus was on the three mortal characters, Ari, Ridi, and Caeneus. And the fact that we have this like othered characters there in terms of their gender. We have two women and just a transgender character, Caeneus, who share this prophecy with Zeus
Mhm.
without knowing it, and they are destined to like take him down, change how the world works, and really like they are the ones who go all about like resisting this oppression, like fighting the injustices of the world. And it's so what I try to do in that paper is discuss how the show really grants them agency, an agency that they don't really have
Mhm.
in Greek mythology in their main stories. And through that agency, or the way they grant them the agency, is by like reversing key aspects of their stories, their mythological stories. Like for instance, like even simple terms like Reedy is the one, like Eurydice is the one who turns and looks at like Orpheus.
Yeah.
She is the one who decides to follow him back when he goes down to the underworld because she has a greater purpose to serve. Caeneus, in the versions we have him from like our ancient sources, is this character that yes, like he's granted by Poseidon the wish to like transform into a man, and then becomes really a mechanism in the hyper masculine like epic style hero world. But in Chaos, he's a totally like different character. He decides to transform in a sense, to change, and then he becomes a, a character who really gives life back instead of taking it, like his mythological counterpart. And then Ariadne. Ariadne in the myth, like I really like, but and so in the myth, like versions of it that we know, like Theseus takes her, or she helps Theseus defeat the Minotaur and escape, and then in some accounts, like he deserts her on the island of Naxos. So she's also accused of like for leaving her like country behind and everything. But the Ariadne of Chaos, like she's a very disillusioned character, right? And once she like understands what's happened, it's like, no, like I'm here, like I defy the gods, and I'm here like for my people, to fight for my people. And like she stays in Crete and becomes like a leader of the people and for the people. So that was like part of my paper, like how this like agency that the show grants them allows them to become these empowered characters that can shake things up and actually take down the patriarchal structures of their world. And then I also I'm looking at how individually they become part, but the fact that they come together, like the three of them come together, but also they bring in and through their restored relationships with their mothers, or by creating like new bonds with other characters who are other in terms of their gender or socially other, like mostly women. Like Ariadne forms this alliance with Andromache, like the leader of the Trojans, right? So how this, in a sense, creates this utopia of empowered, like other characters that can shape or reshape the power dynamics in their world.
Yeah. Yeah, I really loved your observation of not only what was significant about these three characters was their shared prophecy and their kind of reversing their roles from original mythology, but that connection to their mothers and how complicated those relationships were initially. But like the complication was out of the need of necessity in some ways for these prophecies too.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, especially like Ari and her relationship with her mom was one of the most interesting because she's literally making a wax figure of herself looking like her brother every year to like help her mom out.
No, it's really like deep, like, and the trauma that all three characters like have experienced, and they keep experiencing in terms of like how really broken their relationships are. And I think that's also like part of like the beauty of the show. Like it really tackles this idea of like relationships that are like broken, whether they're like on all different like human levels and experiences. So it's really this need to reconstruct, like rebuild these relationships that can allow us to like fight back whatever it is that we need to fight.
Yeah. I was also thinking what's interesting about this show is for the majority, like we see all of their mothers,
Hmm.
but also our perspective of the protagonist's relationships with their mothers is mostly from the protagonist.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I was just kind of curious, like, what did both of you think about the fact that these women, these mothers, seem to maybe not Ari's mom, but definitely Riddy's mom, who's a Tacita, and then definitely Caeneus's mother, who like has a game plan to get to the underworld and everything, have kind of a greater awareness of this like greater purpose for their children that they know alienates their relationship, but they still kind of have to follow through on it. I don't know if you guys had thoughts on that. I just it kind of gave me chills when I
It truly,
got
yeah.
to observe that.
And I was constantly blown away by all the mothers in this series, and just sort of how big a role they played and how important they were within each of their
Yeah.
communities, in a sense. Like, you know, Andromache with the Trojans, like, she is very important, and it can be argued, you know, because they killed all the men, but still, these women are being sort of put in these positions. And I was really kind of blown away by, like, specifically Riddy and Caeneus's mothers, where that alienation, but they still kind of realize, like, there is a bigger plan here, that my child is a part of, and they're important for this. And so there's like this sacrifice that happens. It's really heartbreaking, and you can still see the love that these mothers have for their children, despite that, or, like, you know, regardless, they have to kind of distance themselves or make sure things are going to ensure that things are going to happen. Although I argue with any sort of Greek media when it comes to, like, fate's gonna happen regardless. You know, so it's like, I don't know, maybe you could have had a really great relationship with your kid and it would still happen. But
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
a I think that there's like a it just kind of shows the depth of love mothers have for their children too, and how much they want their children to succeed and do more and be better and be happy. And, you know, like, our mothers fight for us and set us up so that we will have a better life than they did. And, like, that is, I think, I hope, maybe, I don't know, I'm not a mom, but, like, the goal of being a mother is making sure your child is so doing well and is happy and all these things. And so I don't know,
Yeah.
it's kind of just like a display of, like, just the depth of love mothers can have, I think. I felt. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like kind of in opposition to the only real mother figure we get to see of the gods is Hera,
yeah.
right? And we get that really early on with that dinner or that conversation at the table with Zeus and Dionysus. It's like, don't talk to your mother that way. She's not my mother. And yeah, you know, that's kind of interesting is like we get to see Hera the most of any we
And we
see
don't get to
Persephone is
see her
about the
with her
only other female
kids.
goddess
Like,
we
that's
see
the heartbreaking part, is we don't actually get to see Hera as a mother.
as a mother. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's actually the one who's kind of destroying like all the money. We have like this really horrific scene
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with like her and like the like human giving like making her give like birth and everything. But I think
Yeah.
like I agree with both of you. It's because of that like really deep love that the mothers have for their children that they're willing to sacrifice at least for a certain amount of time the relationship they have with them in order to cater to that bigger goal and that bigger plan. And I really like how sorry, Reedy's mom and Caeneus's mom come like we see they come together at the end like something we were not expecting like
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but it's like it's there all along. Like they already knew they were already serving um,
Mm.
this like bigger like plan that is out there, and it's I mean it's heartbreaking, yes, but also like so like empowering in the moment, and the fact that we get to see that they I mean with really we don't like physically see it, but with Caeneus and Ari that they actually like reunite.
Mm-hmm.
I think like in that moment is where everything starts like changing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think there's also a question of like we get the sense because Prometheus is our narrator that
Mhm.
like he and the fates to some degree are orchestrating all of this. And I definitely we're going to talk about the fates again today, even though they're not
Mhm.
mortals. They are so involved in this. But there was one moment I remembered about Prometheus is like he seemed to be the planner, except when Ari ends up killing I can't remember if it's the son is killed or when Ari kills her father because he also has a like, oh damn, that just happened moment. Like he looks at us sharing in the shock that that just happened, as if that wasn't according to plan all of a
Mhm.
sudden. And so I'm still sad the story doesn't continue because I'm really curious about like who ends up being kind of the grand orchestrator of these women coming together with their children to affect change in the world. So I that's I think one of those questions that will never really get answered, but it was really
Unfortunately.
cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, like I said, we're definitely going to talk more about these three
Mhm.
characters.
Mhm.
But I feel like we always kind of end up not talking about Orpheus as much, and he is important to this storyline, but not
Yeah, in
necessarily in the
certain
same
ways.
degree. Yeah, like I think one of my favorite lines, and I wrote it down here, is Prometheus narrates at one point when
Mm.
Orpheus is in the other world. Orpheus is useful. An ego like that has no trouble accepting the notion of a cosmic purpose, and no suspicion that that purpose might be co-opted. And I absolutely love that line because what's ironic is like this whole show gives you the sense of like there's a cosmic purpose out there, like
Mhm.
there's something happening, but it's almost as Prometheus is saying, it's like, yeah, Orpheus isn't really a part of it though. He's just convenient to it.
Orpheus is like he's like a cog in the machine. He keeps things moving, but he is not. It's not about him. It's not his purpose, you know. But like I don't know. My biggest thing with Orpheus, I'm like, why are his eyebrows like that? Like that's I always was constantly writing that down. I'm like, was that a choice? Is that just this man's eyebrows? Like
I think it's just his eyebrows in general.
Probably.
it was very distracting to me.
Because I can't remember, is he's Irish or Welsh or something like that? I believe. Killian.
Yeah,
Um
Charles Welsh have interesting eyebrows.
mm, huh. But yeah, I so the reason I wanted to bring Orpheus up,
Hmm.
so Orpheus and Theseus are probably like some of the two best known Greek
Mhm.
Yeah,
hero names that would be familiar to people. Theseus is even more of a background character in this
truly.
show,
Yeah.
so
True.
that could be interesting to talk about. But I was just kind of trying to look at Orpheus and it's like, does Orpheus function like a traditional Greek hero in mythology? And what is the need for that? Or especially as like if there's a need for it, Prometheus gets to talk about it as like it's a throwaway. He's necessary to set up these other people to succeed, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I
Go
can
for it.
give it a try. Sure. So he's an interesting character in certain ways. I think like his main like purpose or goal in the story world of K is like kind of becoming like or serving as a foil for Reedy, almost. And I mean, if it weren't for him like going to the underworld, then Reedy might not have like been able to come back and like become a prophet and as it is
Yeah.
implied at least at the end, and being the one who can kind of bridge the two worlds and liberate the living. Um, but and I've always had like Orpheus in my mind, both like in the ancient, like the mythological figure in this Orpheus, like because in my mind he's not generally like the traditional Greek hero. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, okay, in the Argonaut, like he partakes in the Argonautica, he takes on this like larger than life journey to the underworld. So these are aspects that would um, make him a Greek hero, but also like especially after a certain point in time in the ancient world, what I also think about like a hero like performing all these like greater than life deeds is like
Hmm.
what is the purpose of them? So is it a self-serving
Mm-hmm.
act or is it like catering to like a greater good in a sense. And with Orpheus, at least in his the storyline with Eurydice, it's self-serving. Yeah, so he will bring her back, but he's bringing her back for his own like self. He can leave without her, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, in Chaos, he takes her coin. Like he does. It's a very like self-absorbed love, absorbed love. Sorry. So I have trouble with Orpheus, to be
Yeah.
honest.
He ends up being more interesting because you're right, he's very self-serving in the show of like the taking of the coin, and that's kind of like one of these things you don't realize in your first watch through until it's revealed that like why Riddy is stuck in the underworld is because Orpheus took her coins because he loves her so much that he didn't want to like lose the chance of her disappearing completely, which is
wild.
It's really wild. Yeah. Yeah,
and I mean,
because no one understands how the afterlife works at this point.
And we cannot take out from him the fact that he really suffered like a lot when he loses her, like in both in the mythological world and the chaos like story world. And that's also like a quality that we see in heroes, like this capacity for like great suffering. And even more so like in tragic heroes, in a way than the like epic style heroes we usually have in mind. But still, like the reasons why he acts upon, and in Chaos, like he needs Dionysus to actually like kind of like push him towards that. And initially, like he's not granted. Like Dionysus has again to intervene for him to actually make it to the underworld, because the fates were like, you know what he did? Like he took his like loved one's coin. So how on earth like I was supposed to like allow him to go down and get her? Like, would she be better off without him?
Yeah, and I love that that was juxtaposed against this little family who's also involved in this contest at the cave. They want to go and bring their young son back, and like it's literally him or the dad to bring the son back that has to be sacrificed. And it kind of now that I'm thinking about it, I had this conversation recently where someone pointed out that love is kind of like a cosmic horror, how we can think about it. Like it's, and if you think about Orpheus's love for Riddy, supposedly, it leads to some truly horrible things that he does in the name of love. And I think why it kind of works is he stays true to it to the very end. Like he successfully is the only human to travel to the underworld because he does choose not to, I think, take the drink, the cup of water. He's like, he refuses, even though he's thirsty, even though like that could be a selfish act. His selfishness is for his love of Riddy. And so I think that's also why Riddy has such a hard time walking away from him, because it is authentic in that he feels this strong love for her.
And I think we were talking about, maybe I was talking about this with somebody else, I don't know. But it was like on my second watch through of Chaos, when it gets to that point with Riddy and Orpheus and her walking away, but of that being like such a hard break, because there is still love there, even if that love is maybe not good. I was like, watching it through my second time, I was like, oh shit, I have experienced this. And like it reminded me of my ex from like who we broke up like 2 years ago, when I was like, I sat there and I watched this moment and seeing her struggle so much with that decision, because there is still love there, even if it isn't always good at times. There's still that like, we have made a life together and built a life together, and I still there's stuff. You're not a bad person, just not the right person for me. And that struggle, like it resonated so much. And I remember sitting there and just being like, oh, I get it. I get why it hurts, and I get the goodbye and sort of like that stuff. Like the thing that I think is interesting is like that love is depicted in so many different ways in the show. Like, yes, it is, you know, like Orpheus, I guess in a way his love is self-serving, but it is so self-serving for this one person. Like he wants to give so much to her, and it makes him feel good, but he wants to give it to her but it benefits him in the end. Versus her and Witty and Caeneus, where it's just like oh, that's the
It's
there's like
mutual.
yeah, it's mutual like in that and so it's I don't know, it's interesting and Orpheus is I just love that Orpheus doesn't do like anything by himself too. Like his career and his songs is because of Riddy. You know, getting to the underworld, Dionysus. Getting across the river, well, that was Charon.
Charon,
Charon and the Fates, right? Who had to provide the mark.
You know, when he actually gets to the underworld and is trying to convince to let Riddy back out. It was like what Medusa and Riddy who really are the ones who were like, okay, let's get out. Like
and Persephone Persephone stepping in.
Yes. He is true. He is just like a cog. Like he is just a vehicle for other people to sort of like move along, which is very, very funny. Poor guy. He doesn't have his own agency or really life, I think.
Exactly. And I mean, again, like I agree with this point, like about love and like being portrayed in so many different ways. And it's he's truly like everything he does like stems from that love for her. But we, in a sense, like going back to the myth, we don't in that like love relationship, we don't get to see what her take is in until like the moment we learn like she's about to leave, because she's suffocating. Like it's a it's a really strong love,
but
for her
it is suffocating.
Exactly, it's what he would think that anyone like one or like even other people might think about it. It's just, but for the person like on the other end, like experiencing that type of life, it's like it's devastating. She can't take it anymore.
And it's like it sort of constructs her as something. It's just so it also feels like to the person like, do you actually love me, or do you love the idea of me, the thing you have created of me?
Because she's like his muse, but she doesn't want to have this role. That's not what she signed up for.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's kind of ends up being interesting about Orpheus as a character, and I would say even Theseus, because he kind of just disappears once Caeneus is saved. We don't know what ended up happening, if he was executed later or not, but it doesn't actually matter. And the one thing is like the end of this season, as far as I care, or that's the end of Orpheus's story. He doesn't necessarily play a part anymore. And I feel like his story is complete because they did such good closure of that relationship between the two of them. Now, can you still do something with them? Sure, but I think that was the best part was but you don't need to, because he got co-opted for someone else's story, and that was done so well. So
and in a case like that aspect is almost like a mini reversal of the ancient myth as well, because once he turns back and looks at Eurydice, she's gone. That's end of her story and myth life for Az, whereas he gets to go on and suffer a bit more and has his own tragic end, right? But for Eurydice, it's it's over. That's it. There's nothing else that we learn about her. And in the shows, that's it. He has completed his life for the purposes of this show, and we don't necessarily have to have him back.
It's literally one of the only characters that I'm if he didn't come back, that would be okay. It wouldn't bug me. Not that I didn't like the actor, not that I didn't like the character, but just I felt like that story was complete. And
he always brought a smile to my face, is what I'll say, is because of his sort of helplessness. He was almost like the helpless maiden in the story, where I was
and his earnestness about it, right? He's gonna do everything to the best of his ability.
And it's so adorable, and I'm just look at him go, man. Wow, he needs to his next album, he needs to be his own muse. He needs to write his Catabasis album. That would be great. Oh God, what a silly guy.
No. So that kind of brings me to the next, I think, big mid discussion point that I wanted to unpack was I think it's time to talk about the fates and prophecies, because that is something that is shaping a lot of the story. And we're told in the show by Prometheus that only mortals hold prophecies, and we're told that because he's trying to point out that Zeus and the family were once mortal, so that's why Zeus has a prophecy. And what's interesting though is that like I think we have this question. Prometheus also tells us that I think it's just the Furies, but I would think the Fates are also there. That he says like they're as old as the gods, except they're older,
Mm-hmm.
which suggests that they exist outside of the system of meander water that Zeus developed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think we'll ever have an answer to this question fully, but I'm really curious to like know what your guys' takes are. It's like, what do we think the Fates and the Furies are? And you know, how important is prophecy and fate to the story overall?
I think we briefly touched on this last time as well, where in my sort of understanding of sort of like the Greek mythos, Greek cosmology, ancient Greek, it's kind of like divided into almost like generations.
Mm-hmm.
And the older generations kind of have this like primordialness, sort of like this everlastingness that like doesn't happen with the younger generations, right? And the Fates and the Furies are always very old in this.
Mhm.
Like they just are. They just exist. They are just things, like they are just things of the world versus agents acting in the world in a sense, you know? Like it's almost like they don't need to be personified in the way that they are in the show and the way that they are in Greek myth, because they just exist. Just like
Mm-hmm.
things that
Mhm.
will happen, versus the later gods like Zeus and the Olympians. There's less conceptualness to them. They're a bit more concrete in how they are presented and understood. So it's and you know, when I look at like ancient Greek texts and stuff, there is that sense of Zeus is like, Zeus can't go against fates. The gods
Mm-hmm.
can't go against fates. The gods can't go against furies. You know, they're always a little bit scared of them too, because they were there before. They just, you know, they are the system versus people existing within the system, or agents existing within the system.
No, I agree that this like they are this like primordial like creatures like outside like um the human or like even the divine senses in a way, but they're always like there, and they're creating the framework
Mm-hmm.
for everyone else to become an agent, and like the world and the stories. So yeah, I agree with that, and I think we kind of see that in Caeus, in the sense that yes, they have like a corporeal existence, but once theoretically like Zeus kills them, that doesn't mean really anything.
Yeah.
Like at the end, they're still there. Like we hear, they don't have to have like a human like appearance or like a physical, in a sense, existence, because fate, both like in the Greco like Greek, let's say, or ancient Greek understanding of the world, it's there, and it's what you carry like as your destiny. So it um, dates you in a sense, and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
there like after you, in a way. So, and like at the end it looks like when they talk, we just hear like Lais is like talking to Prometheus
Mm-hmm.
and telling him like you can like destroy fate, you can like there's no like point in trying, and you just had to like be a little patient to actually see
Mm-hmm.
what you've planned and what you're destined to do, like coming to life. But they're also giving him this. I don't even know if it's like real or ironic sense of, well, now you're free, but you get to decide what you do with your freedom. But is this like really true with
Mm-hmm.
what we know about fate, and even like in the way it's presented, like in Hesiod or on Herodotus or in Homer, even the gods have their own kind of like destiny. So it's there, it's already fated. So what are we to make with that, like at the end?
Yeah, I like that. I think bringing up the idea that the form that we see them in the show is a construction for mortals and the gods
Yeah.
to comprehend and try and hold conversations to understand what this force is. And they kind of point out, and it's like in trying to create this construction of what we are, you are making it be. And it's like, you could kill us. You could ignore us. You could choose to do all these different things. And like, I think that's kind of the question that always comes up with, especially Greek mythology. Like, I love fate and prophecy in Greek mythology. Is like, how do we tackle that with this concept we like of free will, of like, oh, we can choose like what to do with it, and like we're not beholden to a particular destiny. Like, that's how we want to feel about things. And the fates are kind of like, yeah, we agree with that, but here we are.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, with the ancient, like the Greek mythological stories we have and literary stories, like it looks like even when people like try to fight it or try to avoid it, like at the end, their prophecy, like like they can't they can avoid it, like it's gonna happen. So that's why like it's so interesting and intriguing at the same time for me, like the way at the end, like in Caeneus, they tell like Prometheus, you're free, you choose what to do. But really, like, because we know that's not that's not how it works, at least like in the ancient Greek world.
And I find too, at least when it comes to prophecies, the more you try to fight it, the worse off it is. And I think there's a message in that where, you know, of the question of free will, and because prophecies are so nebulous, are so mutable, like they do not mean one thing. They can mean 100 things. And if you sit there and obsess about it, it's probably going to end up being really bad. Versus if you just live your life, and if you just, you know, try to just enjoy life and like exist and all these things, maybe, yeah, probably the prophecy will come true at some point, and you might not even notice. It might just be a little thing that happens, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, and you go on, move on. Versus if you obsess about it and you try so hard to make this one interpretation you have of it in your brain not happen, you're spending too much time on it and you're giving it too much energy. And it becomes something terrible and horrible and explodes in your face.
Yeah, and everything around you, like every little thing you do on, like in your daily life, you interpret it as like, oh, this is it. So it's you are kind of being like absorbed in this, and you like forget to live.
Yep. And I think the show did a good job of exploring all of those ideas through, we only know 3 prophecies in this entire show. So we know of the one shared by Zeus and Ridi, Caeneus, and Ari. And they all interpret it completely different. They, you know, they connect it to some aspect of their own lived experience. And Zeus is very much the one obsessing over it, right? Like the other 3 are kind of like, whatever, it exists. I think Caeneus maybe takes it the hardest because he's died, and so therefore he's like, you know, I was living in defiance of the gods, and that's why my world fell apart, basically. So I think he has the harshest view of the mortals on it. And then we have another example. We have King Minos and his prophecy, which he misunderstands. And I'm again putting that in quotes because, again, these prophecies are so nebulous that you can make them fit certain circumstances. And in this case, King Minos was uninformed of who took the first breath of his children. So like that misinformation allowed for the prophecy to come true in a way that we might all understand it from like a Greek mythology perspective of like Oedipus is like, kill your father, marry your mother. Oh, well, I'll just avoid that. And in doing so, it comes about. But I think what's interesting about King Minos is that he kind of effectively was able to like shove his prophecy aside for a period of time. And it's not until Zeus and Poseidon push him to make the prophecy impossible as far as they understood it by killing Asterion. No, not Asterion. Asterion.
Yeah.
By killing his son Asterion.
Well, Glaucus.
In the show Glaucus, yeah.
Yeah.
It is Glaucus. Okay.
I don't know.
Where did I get Asterion? Asterion is the correct name, though, right?
correct
Okay.
That's the mythological. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
You're absolutely true.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
and it's also really heartbreaking too. Like you see the way that Minos feels like he has subverted his prophecy and avoided it, and it hurts everyone around him very drastically. Like it hurts his son by, essentially he's now put his son in a situation where he's being mentally tortured his entire life. That is horrific. It hurts his wife because she now has to, she has a different view of her daughter, and she has lost a child, and it's all these things, and it hurts his daughter so much. So it's like it was extremely like selfishly motivated, and then you see how that like explodes outward and hurts everybody else within the family unit, because now his daughter has to grow up thinking she killed her brother and has a horrible relationship with her mother because her mom, when she looks at her, she just thinks of her dead son. And it's just heartbreaking. And it's so when the Furies are showing her like, here are the true events, that moment where her mom walks in and like picks her up and is like cooing all over her and like, oh, you're so beautiful, so lovely, my beloved Ari. Like that broke my heart to see, like, to know that is what she could have had her whole life, and she didn't because her dad made up some lie. Is horrible. And it's
and like made up a lie that put on her, like she was the one to be blamed, like for the death. And what I find really interesting in his storyline is that we can like see very clearly how like power dynamics and the systems of oppression work, because he does that so that he continue like on with his like line of power, but he's also like serving the gods who are putting on like this very clear like framework and burden on him, that no, you don't play by your rules, you play by our rules, so you do what we tell you to do. And of course then he takes that on and puts it on his own like family, who has then to like carry like this trauma. And of course everybody's altered, and like at the end when Ari kills him, I find like this moment like really powerful, when Pacify like goes to her and like hugs her, and she tells her like, I killed dad, and it's like, good, like thank you, like yes, that's it. And she was also like part of this like really oppressed like circle and traumatic story.
I think what's also interesting to think about is that I imagine he feels guilt for making that decision to protect his life, basically. And he does try to make it up to Ari by like, you can tell he loves her again, like there's this love, and he wants to make up for it. But Anastasia, as you pointed out, like, but he's also part of this hierarchical system where he has a very powerful position within it, but he's still beholden to the gods. And so like one of the first times we actually get to see him put his love for his daughter second is she asks as a promise for her birthday present to have the Trojans pardoned for this crime that they supposedly committed. And initially he says yes, and then Poseidon shows up. It's like, nope, you have to execute them. You have to. And he does. So like we also got a foreshadowing, or I don't know if it's foreshadowing or an aftershadowing, because he's already done this before. We just aren't aware of it until later in the show. And I think that's really interesting because, again, we can see this character that has love and affection for this person, but it's kind of seeing that love and affection isn't, it's misplaced in some way. Like it doesn't take the priority. In this case, it doesn't take the priority it needs to, versus Orpheus's always takes priority.
And it's like, and I think in that moment, like when Ari starts like reconsidering like what is happening in her life, like she has this kind of like awakening moment, and then of course like the Furies come in, like make it very clear for her, but she really loves her father, like she's really respecting and admiring him. And then the moment like she asks something like really big, and she most probably he has never like denied any request of her before, because I think there's genuine love, but to a certain degree, where it doesn't mess up with like his own like agenda, like life, like actually preserving his life. She's like, oh wait, like what is happening?
Yeah, and I think that ends up being kind of one of the interesting questions with Ari, and like what her storyline would have been going forward is like, how is she going to navigate holding a position of power against the gods? Because the gods are, well, but the gods are fracturing too. So like Poseidon has left. Does this mean you go to war with Zeus and Poseidon?
And then I think the thing I love too is the little tidbit at Dionysus watching and him just going, I think I'm in love, and seeing that and you know, him heading
one
there,
of my favorite
and I'm like,
moments.
she's gonna be against the gods, but here's this one god who he has a thing for her, and he is, as we said earlier, he is sort of that bridge between humanity and the gods, and he is the human one of the gods, really.
Yeah, and he's the one god who tried to help Orpheus. Like, like he has been siding with the humans. Like, I think at some point he's the one telling Zeus, but like, Dad, they're not all bad. Like, they're humans. Like,
you don't spend time with them.
You don't know them, right?
Exactly. Oh
yeah.
So I think that would be really interesting to see, like, how does she go against being against the gods, but then having this one god who's just, I don't know, like her little pet god who's just obsessed with her and wants to do everything for her right there.
Well, and I also think, because again, he walks up with the meander, and his father presented him with the choice either, because like what's interesting about Dionysus is he's not only making a choice between like the gods and humanity, he is kind of making a choice between being part of this patriarchal family god structure or not. And so like he's just trying to get his dad's approval and like get a higher position. Like he wants a more powerful position amongst the gods. But he's realizing the cost of that because his dad sacrifices a kitten right in front of all of us and we hate it so much. And says like, you have to kill love, right? Like, because it makes you weak is what Zeus is telling us. And now Dionysus has to decide. It's like, okay, do I stick with my original goal of being a part of the family, being someone my dad is proud of? Or do I give up my immortality and embrace my humanity? And that's kind of scary because I don't know what that system looks like. What does a world without gods look like?
No, it's a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's a great show. Like, there is a lot to unpack, and a lot of different ways of approaching it, and also like it can very nicely become an entry point into like the ancient world, but also into discussions about our very own like current moment.
Oh God, yeah.
And they like the way they've reworked the myths in such a way that pretty much serves as this like framework to talk about our like present like moment. It really, in my mind, really how shall I put it? Reminds us of what like the myths were supposed to do in the ancient world as well.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's why this feels like such a good, smart example of Greek retellings and reception, because it's like it is putting so many things in our modern world in conversation with
Yeah.
these old
Yeah.
stories and
Yeah.
refreshing the stories as a result.
Yeah.
Exactly, and because like myths, as they were like constructed, understood, and used in the ancient world, they create this necessary distance
Mm-hmm.
from the present moment, so that you can kind of disengage with your like deep emotional state that might not like allow you to actually process what you're like hearing or reading or watching. That can be very like um, at times like painful, or at times just like really making you think about your current moment.
Mhm.
And it's sometimes like easier, instead of like seeing like entirely or clearly yourself into the context, like having this distance to actually make like take the step and put yourself
Mm-hmm.
into the context. I think like Chaos does it this very like nicely, by using like the myths to actually talk about the daily life like aspects we deal with, but also this bigger like questions of like who we are, what our world is currently, how do we go back to this understanding of ourselves and the world as like a unity, and like how we come together to like resist certain
Mm-hmm.
things that are trying to impose on us, um, the frameworks that we cannot, that we should not be working in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So that brings me to the one other prophecy we hear,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from what we've had a couple conversations, so I've definitely rethought about this character a lot. It comes from Prue. And if you remember, Prue is one of these characters in the underworld with Caeneus and Riddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's a
And
Trojan.
she wants to be a diver. She is someone who's very like by the book in the system, and like will tattletale if like, oh, you didn't get in trouble for that, and she's Trojan,
Mm-hmm.
which we know from the marks on her forehead. And so this came up in our conversation at while we were at Camus of just like, yeah, what if she's a Trojan who died in the Trojan War that led to this huge refugee crisis that we see happening in the show, and how she might be representative of someone who is um in a stable society. It's like, oh, everyone follow the rules, so everything runs correctly. And then we get to see with the other Trojan characters, it's like, when the rules don't protect you anymore and your
Yeah.
world is destroyed, what do you have to do to survive? And so it's kind of a great, like, she's kind of a great before picture of maybe what Trojan society was like. And she gives us her prophecy, and it goes: a dark-haired creature, a winter fall, eyes do not shut, not barely at all. And again, very ominous, very like
Mm-hmm.
non-specific. And this is the way she read it. She interpreted it to be about a pet horse that she had who fell and broke its leg and had to be put down, and then she experienced insomnia for the rest of her life. So it's a great example of how like you can have a personal prophecy and just read like something
Just
completely ordinary into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, what if that's actually a reference to the Trojan horse, like a fake horse that shows up and its eyes don't close?
Truly. I kind of going off of the marks that the Trojans had.
Mm-hmm.
um I kind of and way I perceived it was that that was something they got afterwards. Like it for me, it felt like a distinguisher once Troy fell. Like this is how you can like physically
Mm-hmm.
mark that people are othered. You know?
That's a good point.
That's a good,
Because
yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't know when Prue actually died.
Yeah, and so I was always like, because in a way, then when you are a person who is othered in society or who has been put in like um sort of that position of like I can talk like indigenous people in North America and Canada, people in my community, you are either follow the rules that keeps you safe,
Mm-hmm.
you know, follow the rules to the T, even if it is to a detriment of us, because that will at least do keep you safe. It'll keep you out of prison. You'll be going down a right road versus the people who go no, this system is trying to erase us, and I'm going to defy that. And the crime that we see the Trojans do is like, it's so tame compared.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, sure, for people who believe in a system, that would be extremely horrific, but that is not that bad, and it does not deserve death. And you can see people who are othered, or who are live in diaspora, or who are minorities in communities, rebel in those ways that are very, very small, really, in context. But it is making a point. It is saying, we are here, we want to survive. And I think that's interesting between Prue and then all the other Trojans. And then I also think it's interesting that Prue, being the one who is super by the book, do everything right, she's the dead one. While the ones who are, until they put them to death, the ones who are pushing back and who are actively kind of fighting, they're still alive, versus Prue, who maybe was like, let's work within the system, whatever, but try not to make a scene, try not to make any waves. She's the one who ends up dying, and she's in the underworld now.
And the thing to consider with Prue too is she didn't have coins, therefore she's stuck in the underworld. She didn't get to what's the word?
Set? No.
I know, I'm blanking all of a sudden.
Go through the thingamabobber.
Yeah, go
through the frame.
Yeah.
Go through the frame.
Yes.
And
refresh.
It's like refresh is all that's coming to mind.
Oh no.
But no one knows what actually is supposed to happen. Like, we find out what is happening.
Are we talking about the renewal? Like,
renewal.
Go through the frame and renew? Okay. I was like, what are we talking? Okay. They were supposed to renew, but they never did.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
And there is something to suggest, like, renewal is a real thing, or what happened before the meander water system was put into place.
Yeah.
Something happened, and not even the gods know what that is. They just know they're disrupting what was the original natural order of things, and it's causing problems. So, but yeah, long story short, Prue also, as this by the books kind of character, did not receive coins. Now, again, I think that ties into a possible reading of, if there's a Trojan War that has happened that's displaced all these people, how many people die in these mass killing events that never receive proper burial.
Right.
And that she could be a result of that. I think Prue is one of these characters that we were kind of meant to like find annoying and not want to think too much about, and she was going to be really important down the line.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this point of like going a little bit further back, the punishment that the Trojans like receive in that framework is like totally like out of proportion for what they've done, right?
Yeah.
But again, it allows us to see in a way how paranoid at this point, like Zeus is becoming. How like, of course, like we've seen him being like that narcissist and this like characterized by his megalomania, but now he's like, clearly we see the abuser of power like Zeus, that is like, no, like this needs to happen for no big reason, right? But which makes things even like worse, but also allows for this dead three, going back to the mortal characters, to gradually find themselves like not being able to take this anymore, and actually starting to like awaken and finding in them to say no, like things need to be done differently.
Yeah. I think that scene, and maybe we can talk about the Trojans a little bit more broadly, because again, this is a storyline that's teased in a lot of ways, and I think was going to be really important in one of the subsequent seasons. because like Cassandra is also one of my favorite characters, and
Yeah.
you barely get anything with her,
Yeah.
but love her every time I see her. And there's no clear, it's a Caeneus and a few other young Trojans who get a bunch of cow excrement or something and throw it on this monument to be revealed for the gods. And Zeus is furious, and he is worried, like he's already got this prophecy in mind that this will slip into something even worse, right? Like it's not actually that, it's not a big crime at all. It's funny, like you know what the message was and intent was, but the response is so cruel, and it's forced. That response is forced through the actions of other mortals, King Minos in particular. And I think that's, you know, kind of one of my questions then is like, was Astyanax and the other Trojans, was this message for King Minos and the people of Crete being like, hey, you're treating us like shit, so like we're going to disrupt this gift that you're giving to the gods? Or is there, maybe it's both, maybe is this a message to the gods because they also had a greater role in what happened to Troy, that's been hinted at in that first season, but we don't get a lot of background on.
I think it might be a little bit of both, in the sense that the way that King Mine is presenting, and he like presents his rulership as well, is like really directly like connected to the gods, so like a vessel of the gods. In the world, the more it's like it's a pretty like clearly structured like rulership in that way. So I think it goes both ways, potentially within that. Yes, of course, like they're like government, the people who are really treating them like nothing. Really, they have really put them on the side and trying to like to restrict them. But also that is kind of like a rulership that comes down, like it's a kind of a way of governing that's almost like inherited from the divine world, it seems. So I think it could go both ways, but I would love to have seen more of that, and especially like at the end with like Ari forming this alliance with Andromache, who's not like the leader of the Trojans. And I mean, she clearly turns like help me or help us, like that's the mutual contract, like take the gods down, like help me find the gods. So
and the thing too, I think, is they operate within the same sort of belief system, you know. So the Trojans were, you know, of a different city, but they believe in sort of the same gods. But then when you see these things happening in Heraklion on Crete, like it reminds me of how, you know, in antiquity each city is its own little thing, and each thing has the own way of own like religious festivals and sort of religious calendar, right? So now like this is Crete's, this is Heraklion's way of doing things, and especially with Minos feeling so connected, like getting his position from the gods, this is important to him and would be important to the people of Crete. I feel like there's that implication there. We owe this to this specifically. The Trojans don't have that. They may believe in the gods, but they're like, it's almost in a way, it's almost like not my gods, but like not the way I interact with my gods. This isn't important. And so I don't know. I feel like for me, it felt more of a message to the people of Crete than to the gods. But like, likely, I mean, sure, to the gods as well. But like, I wonder how many people are actually as obsessed with the gods in that world versus what we see. Like we have, I don't remember her name, the woman who's always wanted to be a Tacita. She, yeah.
I want to say,
Agatha.
Like, that's kind of what I was leaning towards, was Agatha.
I think so.
Yeah, like we see that there are some people who are super intense about it, but like everybody else is kind of just like do. Like it doesn't seem like it's.
Well, you have Tacitus too.
Yeah, but that's still a small percentage of people compared to the vast majority of people. Like there could be like, I don't know, I have a friend who refers to herself as a salad bar Catholic. She's like, it's like it could be it's a cultural thing versus intense belief. Like we have that in our world too, where we have different sort of registers. So and the younger generations tend to kind of slip away from things for a while. And so Styanax and all his friends, I mean, I can understand their anger. And their anger, it could be perceived towards the gods. It could also be perceived towards those who are actively oppressing them day to day.
Yeah. It's interesting because like one of the things that Zeus is doing that we're aware of is he's like, I need people to come back to God, have a come to Jesus moment, but I'm Jesus, I'm God. So he's doing all of these like mass weather events and things like that. And historically, archaeologically, we see evidence. So because I do ancient medicine, is like when plagues start to happen, we see more dedications to healing gods and healing cults. And that's when Asclepius gets really big in Athens. And then later when the plague goes to Rome, they're like, let's bring this guy over here too. And so there can definitely be events that bring people to religion more, and it'd be interesting to see if like maybe part of this backlash, maybe what you have to start dealing with are these like groups of people are like, oh, we really need to get religious again. We really need to fix this problem. The iconoclasm was very similar, right? Like when Christianity in Europe and was being threatened by Islam, and they're like, oh, well, they don't show God, they don't show their prophets in images, so we're going to get rid of all of ours. Like there's really strong reactions, religious reactions when things are going poorly. So I think that could be an interesting way to explore it. If it's not just Troy, it's like, oh, Troy is just one off. Now if it's happening everywhere in the world, maybe we're going to get a little religious now. Which I think, again, would have spoken really well to our current situation of, there's a lot happening in the world, and there's also these religious movements that are supposedly offering solutions to that problem. So I think that could have been really interesting to see in the long run. And I think so one of my predictions is because we see Riddy with Cassandra at the end, I'm like, yes. I think there would have been a visit to Troy. Maybe we would have learned. I think that was a good observation, because I think we're told Zeus gave Poseidon Crete to deal with as he wanted.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really interesting if like Troy was another place given to someone to rule over. And if maybe that's one of the reasons why children are not talking to Zeus. Even children that we would expect to talk to Zeus, like Athena. Or something. Yeah. I don't think she would be very pro-Trojan, but...
No, she has her own city already.
Yeah. So I think that would have been interesting to see if there was more gods involved, and we see why there's already been a splintering amongst the family before
when I think
what we saw this season.
Which gods are connected to Troy?
It's
Poseidon, because he helped build the walls and everything. And
so you have Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
Oh,
very much so.
I could have been so good.
Aphrodite.
It's
Aphrodite.
It's Daddy.
Artemis.
I mean, it's Papuza.
It's Papuza. I think Aphrodite and Artemis
got different one. Aphrodite got Daddy.
Artemis was mostly just to get anytime she can be against Hera, she's happy to be opposite of Hera. Because I remember that being part of the Iliad. Like she gets boxed by Hera because she's like, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I think that could have been really interesting.
Apollo, I think, is the one I think of when I think of Troy as well.
Yeah,
he did some stuff there.
Yeah, and Ares.
Yeah, true.
Ares makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Although that would have been so interesting because Ares is the son of Hera.
Yeah.
But the husband or the plaything of Aphrodite. Oh, that could have been so fun.
Because I also wanted at the end when Hera is calling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some what would make sense in my head would be she's calling Ares because
that's preparing. Who I thought.
She's preparing for a war, right?
Yep.
So that's the guy you would call.
Yeah. That's definitely who I thought she was calling for sure.
Sam, I was like, oh, So
But
excited.
yeah, but I could, and then yeah, that could be a great introduction into Aphrodite and this conflict at Troy that led to the refugee crisis and all of that. Ugh. Can someone, any streaming service, just wrestle the rights to this show from Netflix? And
Maybe we petition. Like, let's just like, I don't know.
I think that's
Try.
you know what? Again, it's like we just need more people to watch and be like, "Where's the rest of this? There needs to be more. We need to make it happen."
Complain until you get what you want.
Yeah.
And I think since like you brought up this idea of like Zeus and how broken like his relationship is with his own like kids, I think this connection of the mothers with their like daughters in the mortal world, the mortal world, like really like contradicts that even further, like highlights even more so how broken their relationships are in this kind of like androcentric, like oppressive world of the gods, right? And how these three mortals with the relationships they build or rebuild can actually change that.
Yeah. And something I find interesting is whenever we see men in the positions of like in the context of family or as fathers or something, they're never doing a good job of it. Like in the show, like we have Zeus and Minos, so really the two dads we see. Even if they're well-meaning, they're not doing great. You know what I mean? Like, because I'll give Minos, even if he's well-meaning, not doing a good job of it. And when I feel like when we see action that is pushing towards progress or change, or has like an echo of hope in it, it is coming from women, and it's also it's coming from mothers specifically. Like we see that with Andromache, and like vaguely with Hecuba. I mean, Hecuba is old and tired. That poor woman. She's not to be part of things, but Andromache is fighting. She was fighting for her kids, and even after her kids died, she is fighting for the future kids.
Right. It's coming like from women and like gender other care, like Caeneus, like it's whoever like has been in different ways othered or like oppressed that really has like this carries with them like this hopefulness for change.
And then there is affection, and there is like an actual genuine love of the world, almost of humanity, of what things could be versus what they are. And like there's this like recognition of things that don't work, so it's like, how do we change this? And it's, I don't know, I love the view of mothers in this, like even Hera, like terrible mother, but like I'm obsessed with her as a character. I have my own thoughts of sort of like seeing her as a woman who is stuck within the system, and how do you function within the system. And not necessarily, she's not doing a great job, but she has some power, and there is some affection there in some ways, even if it's shown in really like, whoa, that was a bad way of showing it, or of doing things.
I would have loved to seen like where they would go with Hera, because like currently in my mind, like how the show has gone for her, she's very much like a part of the patriarchal structure. Like she's all about like power for that matter, like the way she treats Zeus's like lovers, like turning them into bees and like having them, like there is some, I would agree there's some affection she has for them in a way, and for the
Tacitus,
like, and for the Tacitus too, but she's still using she uses
the system, I feel. And for me, at least when it comes to like the bees, in some way I see it as like it removes them from Zeus's dominion in a way. Like, is it disturbing and not the right way to do it? Yes, absolutely.
It's also a lot milder than some of her other punishments we know of from Greek mythology.
True. Yeah, like
she still puts them within a community of each other.
We see her out there caring for them too. Like, it's strange because it is, but I think it's sort of like emblematic of women who are stuck in the system and don't really who are trying to function within the system but not change the system.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to just
yeah,
make
kind
it,
of survive like in that
Yes.
system, like
Yep,
find her
exactly.
place and like secure her place in the
And
system,
yeah.
but not necessarily trying to change it or like help
Yeah.
others.
And then in a way she's trying to protect other people, other women from it, but she does it in a way that's not actually like
Yeah.
Helpful
helpful.
overall. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
see
like
that.
this is ultimately harmful. But
Well,
yeah.
and my thought too was that I think what the show did a good job, and maybe I don't even think this was intentional, was showing that these women kept being capable of building relationships with
Yeah.
other people.
Mm.
So did Caeneus. And most of the male characters are very isolated. Orpheus is so focused on just his love for Riddy, right? So it's like his love for a woman isolates him. Zeus is very isolated. He's the one who tells us at the end of the
Yeah.
season that, love or caring for things is a weakness and you have to kill that weakness. So
Yeah.
he is isolating himself. Poseidon is similarly like he kind of only really cares about Hera, and Hera is also just using him
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she can. It's beneficial to her. And I think Hades might be this weird exception because he does have Persephone and there's real
Mutual.
affection there.
Yeah.
But he's also obsessed with making his brother's system work, and that's frustrating Persephone. So like you can see the strain that this system puts on people. And the funny thing is like Zeus believes that like his family is still his family. He also still kind of believes that Prometheus is his best friend, even though he's torturing him.
But he's still like having him bound up on that like rock. Like he's using him, and he
Yeah.
considers him like a best friend. But he's still like, no, we don't have to be like all the time together or anything. You're still like punished.
Yeah. And I think, and that's why the end too is like, okay, Zeus has truly isolated himself at the end, and he's lost his power over Prometheus. And it looks like Prometheus has been put into a position of power.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see then, is Prometheus going to continue that? Is he going to, because he did something similar to the mothers in making sacrifices for their children. The relationship, he sacrificed his relationship with Charon to make this thing come about, but he had to actually kill his lover.
Yeah, and like going back to like talking about Hades that you mentioned, I know like gods are not the main point.
It's all good. It's all good.
But what I find interesting, very interesting with him is like the first time he's introduced, you know how they do like this black screen with the letters like to introduce the character. Like for him, there's a parenthesis that says like guilty conscience, which I find like very interesting because yes, he's like helping Zeus and like trying to sustain like this framework they've created, but it looks like it's almost like eating him alive. Like it's kind of killing him. And in the process, like he's kind of losing his power.
Yeah.
In that.
He looks frail compared to Zeus. Like, and Zeus appears scared of what becoming like Hades.
Yeah, but I think the thing with Hades is he is confronted with it every day. He doesn't just benefit from it. He doesn't just get the benefits. He has to see it. He has to, he is the one who has to go walk out and see these people who have had this happen to them. Like he is the one who has to, watch all these dead people come and go through and sort of like he is living within that sort of structure while Zeus just benefits from it. He gets his meander water sent right
so
to
removed
him.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't actually, he's not aware of like, he doesn't have interaction with people. He doesn't have interaction with them at the end. And so like seeing Hades, he has a guilty conscience, like good.
No, absolutely.
It's like
absolutely.
that speaks volumes to his character that at least there is something about this that he knows, like it weighs on him and it's like, oh, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good for me. There's some humanity in it. We're seeing that little bits of humanity. It's kind of delightful.
Yeah. And like, if I may, like drawing on that point about humanity, which I think it's the core like of the show, like the beauty of it. And also what you, Chris, said before about how Zeus says like love is like a weakness. It's what like would destroy the gods. It's actually what kind of brought me back into this like idea of like the three mortals and their like empowerment through myth, but also the relationships they build, because I was reading like some work of the feminist philosopher like Lucy Irigaray, and like the way she kind of states that mythology underlies patriarchy, like has not changed from the ancient to the modern world, right? And she kind of, in critiquing the patriarchal structures of the modern Western world, she kind of positions the murder of this like mythological mother, like Clytemnestra, at by Orestes, like at the foundation of order in the male-dominated sphere of the city. And what she suggests, in a sense, that retracing this like archetypal mother-child relationship and like rediscovering the relationship of love and support between women and the other characters is what can help kind of subvert this very like patriarchal like structures of our world. And I was listening to an interview of Charlie Covell, and they said that one of their first like words, like their engagement with the ancient world, of course, like started with the Clash of the Titans and stuff, but they started like writing their own like mini plays, kind of. And the first one was Clytemnestra. It was a play about Clytemnestra, and it was like, oh my, okay, wait, could be a coincidence, right? Very much, but I make the connection. I see the line appearing and the fall like almost being there.
I mean, I was like, that theory that you were talking about just checks out so much, because if we go to the Erinyes, the Eumenides play, where Orestes is on trial, and the argument is basically made, it's like, actually there is no blood relation between mother and child. She is just a mere vessel. And it's like, it's almost the ultimate separation of claim of this. Women grow humans in their body.
Like, literally, they are fed by their blood, you know?
Thing. Yeah.
Oh,
and yeah, like that's just it, right? And Athena agrees that. I think that's what kills me about Athena as a Greek goddess, is like, I don't think I can ever root for Athena, because she acquiesces to that.
She's always the guy's goddess, you know what I mean?
I think as a kid she was like my favorite, but as I grow up, I'm seeing so much into her, and I'm like,
I think the thing is, like, when you see her when you're younger, you're like, wow, woman,
what about
her? Like,
exactly.
so tough and cool. And then you get older and older, and you're like, oh God, she's agreeing with the patriarchal system too much.
She's a pick-me girl. She's a pick-me girl, and it hurts.
Truly. Yeah, which, I mean, again, of course, we have to situate it in its own, like, time and place and what it serves to serve. Yeah. But also when we have the chance to talk about this myths in the modern world, then there's also a responsibility we have to, like, explain what was that system and how it worked, but also how we engage with this like narratives and stories now, because that really matters. And I think KAOS did such a good job,
beautiful job of it. Yeah, truly.
And I think that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna add. I think love being a major component.
Yes.
Like, for people, for each other, because we see at the very end when Caeneus is able to bring his mother back, he has this flash of affectionate moments, not just with his mom, but like with everyone in his life, and that's what revives her, basically. Right. That definitely was the overall message to me, is like, us actually caring about each other is what matters.
Yeah, exactly. Like the love and support for one another can create like this line of power, like almost like this line of life, that can fight back the not living the life because you're so preoccupied by sustaining like your power, like your prophecy, your destiny, your glory. But I think it's a lot about like the power.
And I think it's also very much shown as an extremely human quality, and I think that is like one of the things like I really took away from the show, and it's something I always look for, is like where. And why I also kind of love antiquity is seeing that humanness where you see, it's like, oh, you know, that was a person because we love that much. We have that, like, we have the capacity for empathy and care and sympathy and for holding space for so many different things, even if they're small and banal. Like, people drop a pen and they go, oh no, sorry, and they pick it up. Why are you apologizing to an inanimate object? Because there's like humans, we make connections with these. Like, what is it? Dogs evolved eyebrows so they could better communicate with us. Like,
I have a golden retriever. That is very true. Her eyes are so expressive.
So like, it is a very human thing to love and to care about people and to go out of your way to make sure people are okay and other things are okay and looked after. But in a society that doesn't value that, and in the heavily patriarchal sort of like capitalist society that kind of puts power and profit over anything else, and this is a system, like I don't want to point this down to, like, I don't want to point fingers at people, because it is a system that we have fallen into. It devalues that. And so like shows like this are just, all it's saying is stop, go back to the community for a little bit,
Yep, absolutely.
Sit with yours and your own, and make time for that, and make time to care and to love, and and don't look for differences. Just look for love.
And like my biggest takeaway from the show was having watched it, and like it ends in season 1. It ends with a lot of like bad things have just happened.
Yeah.
We have so many unanswered questions, but that season still left me so hopeful of what could be achieved by these people who have found themselves, found their agency, and found purpose to help others. And like, I don't know many shows that make me feel like that much anymore, and this one did, and it feels good every time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you have a show that ends with somebody like bringing back to life. I mean, in the underworld, but still, given in a sense like renewing the soul of somebody, even in the underworld, and we don't get that much.
And she had faith that her son could do it too. Like, that was the best part. She's like, she has like such a sense of like, things are gonna go really poorly for me, but even though I haven't seen my son in so many years, and like he might not understand why I did what I did. Maybe he hates me. I don't know, but I have faith. I have faith in my child.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, are there any other final thoughts? That feels like a good note to end on, but like I don't want to like leave anyone out.
I agree. Moms are great.
I'm gonna call my mom after this. She'll be so annoyed. Like, I'm busy, and I'll be like, I love you.
It's important to say that. I mean, because we go about our daily lives and we forget. We take it for granted.
I know.
But it's not. Like, we should take that moment and
so
say
good.
that.
Usually, most moms. Some caveats.
Yeah.
Some moms suck.
I mean,
but
there are some.
I do love my mother when I say I love you, and she goes, "What do you want?" I'm like, Jesus, Nancy, I just want you to know I love you.
There is a higher purpose here, Mother. Accept it.
Yeah.
You know what? Never mind. Hang up. Okay.
Well, if there's nothing else, I do want to say, Anastasia, thank you so much for joining us today to discuss KAOS.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had it was my first time, as I said before. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for the great discussion.
Always. And I'm sure like Liv's already reached out to you and is very excited for your other research, so I'm sure
I'll be happy to.
Well,
I'm sure her listeners will be hearing more from you, and I'm excited to hear more from you,
and we can figure out a time.
Yeah.
I'll shoot you an email maybe later today, tomorrow. You know what, I'm gonna write it down, because otherwise
there you
I
go.
will forget.
And while you write it down, Michaela, if people would like to learn more about you and your work, Anastasia, is there someplace they can go, or is there any projects you want to plug?
Well, there is my personal website. It's like my name, AnastasiaPantazopoulou.com, and I update it as often as I can. So a lot of my research and my public humanities and digital humanities projects are there. My contact info there, so I'm more than happy to always talk about anything and everything that relates to the ancient and the modern world.
Awesome.